Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Shola Scheinfeld, speech language pathologist and founder of Valued Voices. So, what I want to do for all of you today is give you a behind the scenes sneak peek into what we do at Valued Voices when we get a kiddo with articulation errors. So often, our parents come into Valued Voices telling us that their kiddo is difficult to understand or that other people can't understand them. And that, of course, leads to a lot of frustration for our little ones. We never want our kiddos to feel like they can't communicate with the world around them because they're not being understood. So, we're always here to help guide parents and kiddos to make some progress. We always like to start with an evaluation, but since we can't do that here today, what I'm going to take you through is our action planning on what we think about when we're really working with our kiddos. What we always want to start with is an understanding of speech sound development. So what we're giving you access to today is our speech sound development chart. This outlines for you at which age each sound begins to emerge. So just be mindful here that the chart that we've provided you is when each sound begins to emerge. It is not when each sound is mastered. So for example, a 2-year-old should not be producing the R sound quite yet. That's a later developing sound, so it begins to emerge later and is then mastered at a later age. After we have a better understanding and awareness of what sounds are acquired at what age, we're better able to look at the nitty-gritty parts of speech. So what we want to look at is the sound that we're working on. So for example, we're going to use the B sound. It's one of our earliest developing phonemes. So the B sound can be found at the beginning of the word, the middle of the word, and the end of the word. In the speech world, we like to call this the initial position, medial position, and final position. Every sound in the English language is produced in the beginning, middle, and ends of words. So for example, if your kiddo's having trouble with the B sound or the letter B, you first want to start by asking them to produce the sound by itself to see if they can even do it in isolation. So you would ask your kiddo, say, ba, ba, again, over exaggerating your mouth movements and drawing attention to your mouth. If your kiddo is successful in producing the sound by itself, then I like to move on to pair it with different vowel sounds. After that, I like to look at if my kiddo is able to produce the sound in a word. So I first start with the sound at the beginning of the word. So I'll say, bow, bow. If my kiddo can do it, great. Then I'll move on to the final position of the word, or the ending. So I might say to my kiddo, say, tub, tub. And then lastly, I'll go to the middle. Say, Abby, Abby. I tend to pick words that have those earlier developing speech sounds in them, as opposed to giving my kiddos words that they might have not acquired those sounds yet. Also, the reason why I start with initial position is because that's how our mouth is starting. Then I move to final because that's how our mouth is ending. And the middle is always the trickiest because we have speech muscle movements that are happening before and after. So that's just my general rule and how I like to do it. So your kiddo might have difficulty with the B sound in all 3 positions, or they might just have difficulty in 1 or 2. For example, your kid may have said Bo and Abby, but they can't say tub. That means that they're dropping off the sound at the end of the word, or what we like to call in the speech world, final consonant deletion. So once you've identified which position or positions of the word your kiddo's having difficulty with, that's where you would start. So taking the example that we had before, if your kiddo is able to produce the B at the beginning and the middle and is deleting it there at the end of the word, then you would start with B final words. I just always love to go into Google and hit in B final words, and then I always love to use the website mommyspeechtherapy.com. She has great articulation words on there. So once your kiddo has progressed to the word level and you're certain that your child is consistently producing their target sound at the beginning, middle, and ends of words, then you can move on to the phrase level. So that would include, in our example from before, if we're using the word tub, we would tell our kiddo, say, my tub. And then if they can do that successfully, you'll keep moving on with that as well with different words and then increasing the phrase to maybe 2 or 3 words. So I see tub. After the phrase level, we have our sentence level. So then we'll ask the kiddo to create a sentence or we'll provide one for them. So an example using the word tub is I take a bath in the tub. After the sentence level is, you guessed it, conversational level. So let's just review the hierarchy there. So we have sound level, word level, phrase level, sentence level, conversation. we want to be mindful that we're keeping our expectations where our kiddo's at. So if our kiddo is at the word level, when they're saying, Mommy, I want to go in the tub, and they're omitting that final B, that's okay, because that's all the way up here, and our kiddo might still be at the word level. So we want to model it for them and have them hear the correct target sound, but we don't want to expect them to say it in a sentence when they're at the word level. Something else to be mindful of as you're traveling through this speech sound journey is the words that you're using to target the speech sounds. So often we choose 1 or 2 syllable words, but we want to make sure we're also incorporating words that are 3, 4, 5 syllables. So for example, if we're working on the initial B sound, we might use words like bee, bow, bath, base, bake. A 2-syllable word would be butter, baseball, and then a 3-syllable word would be butterfly. So you can see here that each word, as it gets longer, requires more oral motor muscle movements. Same thing as if we're putting the target word in a phrase or a sentence or a conversation. The more sounds and the more words we add around our target sound, the more difficult it is, because we're using a lot more speech sound movements to create that word or that sentence. So always be mindful of that as well. If you have any questions about it, because you're not expected to be an expert in this area, go ahead and email us at info@valuedvoicestherapy.com. Also at Valued Voices, we do offer articulation screeners. So if you want to get set up with that and see if your kiddo's on track with their speech sound development, you could always email us at info@valuedvoices.com. If you have any questions at all, you can always reach out to me personally at shola@valuedvoices.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, my name is Shola Scheinfeld, speech language pathologist and founder of Valued Voices. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.